On November 10, 2009, Infinity Ward would release Modern Warfare 2 for the Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. It would become an instant hit, selling over 5 million copies on the first day, and set the standard for modern-day FPS games. Within the single-player story, though, would include a single mission that would change the public perception of the game entirely. A level described as sickening and unethical, ultimately being thrown in the middle of the debate for video games cause violence. How could a single mission be so horrid it had to be banned or removed in certain countries? Today we will take a look at arguably the most controversial mission that's ever been created. No Russian. I assume most people watching have played or at least heard of No Russian, but just in case, I'll summarize. The mission revolves around Joseph Allen, an operative for the CIA working undercover attempting to gain the trust of a Russian terrorist named Vladimir Makarov. You start the level gearing up in an elevator of a Russian airport. Before exiting, Makarov says,
"Remember, no Russian,"
reminding the group to only speak in English, hence the name. Upon exiting the elevator, you help Makarov by taking part in a mass shooting of civilians, then taking out the SWAT teams and police who are trying to stop your attack. At the end of the level, Makarov kills Allen and reveals that he knew his identity all along, as well as Makarov's goal, which was for Russian officials to discover one of the shooters was an American and for Russia to declare war on the United States. I know, that's pretty crazy for gaming in 2009, but the whole mission is roughly 9 minutes long, with half consisting of killing civilians and the other half killing cops. So it's not unreasonable to see why so many people had very strong opinions and criticism about the ethics of the mission. But we need to go back to before the game even released to find the beginning of controversy for No Russian. A few months prior to the game's release, some gameplay footage of No Russian would be illegally obtained and leaked online. It's actually theorized that the unknown leaker of the footage was an employee at Infinity Ward, due to in-company debates as some developers strongly opposed the mission entirely. Dubbed the Modern Warfare 2 Massacre, the backlash was immediate. So bad, in fact, Activision would quickly confirm the mission's existence and state it's not representative of the overall gaming experience from Modern Warfare 2. Though that wouldn't be the end of controversy before the game's launch, as one of the game's testers, who was enlisted in the US military at the time, outright refused to play No Russian, but agreed to test the rest of the game. So this would lead the developers implementing an option before launch to skip the mission entirely, stating they did not want the player to be punished for not doing what they felt was morally wrong. Fast forwarding now to the game's launch, and the overall reviews are mixed. Though a lot of critics were calling the mission virtual terrorism, as well as legitimate concerns of the overwhelming amount of children that would play the mission. I mean, I was 10 when Modern Warfare 2 came out and played at launch, and while I don't remember the mission having any effect on me at the time, it's fair to say that not everyone had the same reaction. But it wasn't all bad. Some even praised the mission, and developers feeling that if No Russian was able to make players question whether the deaths of innocent civilians were justifiable, then video games could finally be considered an art form. And that might be a bit too deep for me, but it is worth mentioning that the game didn't actually force the player to shoot any civilians. They just had to follow Makarov in the group and watch, which doesn't sound much better, but killing Makarov resulted in failing the mission, so I guess it's a lesser evil. Unfortunately for Activision, a large amount of bad reviews, angry politicians, and bans in certain countries wouldn't be the end of the problems No Russian would face. On January 24, 2011, just over a year after the game's launch, the Domodedovo International Airport in Moscow, Russia, which is the same location the mission is set in, was bombed, killing 36 and injuring 200 others. Russian state-owned television network RT would later broadcast news of the bombing, showing security cam footage acquired from the attack. to which they would then compare it with gameplay footage from No Russian.
Terrorist attack kills dozens of innocent people and creates chaos at a Moscow airport. Fact or fiction? It's the scenario being played out here in this popular American video game sold worldwide, Call of Duty: Modern Warfare 2.
While I don't think the mission is the cause of the attack, it's hard to deny the comparison of a tragic mass killing at an airport in Russia. Once the rest of the world got word of the attack, Fox News would go further by stating that terrorists could be using video games as training tools, and unfortunately, he would ultimately be proven right. Just 6 months later, on July 22, 2011, Anders Breivik, probably butchered that one, would detonate a car bomb in the city of Oslo, Norway, killing 8 people. Then travel 2 hours to a summer camp on the island of Utøya and begin a mass shooting, killing another 67 people, simply known as the 2011 Norway attacks. While in jail, Breivik would write in a manifesto calling Modern Warfare 2 a training simulation of the attack. That was enough for Norway to pull the plug and ban Modern Warfare 2 from being sold entirely. Quick side note that Modern Warfare 2 wasn't the only game to get banned for this reason. It was also stated in his manifesto that he loved playing World of Warcraft, so Norway also banned that game. I don't see the correlation between World of Warcraft and the attack, but I guess anything that this guy enjoyed doing, they just took it off the shelves. That wouldn't be the end of the major incidents that occurred after the mission's launch, though. In 2013, Grant Accord, a student in the state of Oregon, would be arrested by police on suspicion of plotting to attack his high school with homemade explosives and firearms. Notebooks found in his room detailed how the student was going to use napalm grenades, which are essentially grenades that, as well as exploding, spark a bed of fire, burning anyone not taken out by the explosion, as well as planning to have the No Russian soundtrack playing from his car while he carried out his attack. Luckily, the police were quick to apprehend Accord after a tip from a fellow student, and this never played out. You can find the link to the soundtrack in the description of this video if you'd like to listen to just the audio, as it's quite eerie, so the thought of this playing while carrying out his attack is straight out of a horror movie.
At his mother's home in Benton County, and according to court documents, the teen planned to walk into the school, blaring his car stereo and carrying napalm firebombs in his hands, among other explosives.
Accord was charged with 6 counts of manufacture of a destructive device and 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon, and he still resides in juvie to this day. Though the events preceding the game's release were probably more negative than any other video game in history, there isn't any definitive proof to prove that because of the mission's release, these attacks happen. And so for that reason, it wouldn't much affect game sales. The Modern Warfare 2 Remastered campaign would release in 2020. No Russian would make a return, though still banned in Russia, with censorship in Japan and Germany. Those have been all the major incidences surrounding No Russian and its history as being the most controversial mission in gaming history. Thanks for watching.